There's a lot to cover in this video, but I first want to say that the One Piece community is just amazing, and the fact that we were able to uncover this, when I say we, I mean someone from within the community, it's a huge thing, right? And this speaks to just how invested people are into the series. Now, the first thing, this video is about the other members of the Rocks Pirates, and then it's going to tie into Sword somehow. But first, I got to shout out the person who came up or who found this out. It was a great catch by them, and this was by Vulcan D Artist, Vulcan_D_artist on Twitter. So he uncovered this and he pointed out a lot of people were tagged in it. So go give him a follow, check him out, because this was an amazing find, and I'm sure a lot more people are going to talk about it a bit later. And I thought it was really interesting, so I wanted to talk to you guys about it, or just get it out there, because I think there's something to it. All right, but first let's talk about the other members of the Rocks Pirates, and then we're going to lead right into the Sword stuff. In chapter 957, it was stated by Sengoku that the members of the Rocks Pirates, of course, Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, etc. He also mentioned Captain John, Silver Axe, Wang Ji, and Shiki. So Vulcan, the person who found this, tweeted a panel from chapter 452, and it showed Captain John from what we know. But the other two people that were in the panel with him did not become significant, and wouldn't be significant if it wasn't for chapter 957. What I mean is, we know Captain John. We know for a fact the person in Thriller Bark with Moria was Captain John, based off of Absalom not only telling Captain John that his infamy, is crying because of how he's performing in Thriller Bark, and also after the fact, the armband that was on John that Luffy took from him, Buggy noticed it as the map to the treasure that Captain John left behind. You follow still? So we know for a fact the person that was in Thriller Bark is Captain John. We know that Captain John was a member of the Rocks Pirates. And Absalom, along with other people and everything that was happening in Thriller Bark, treated him as a different person. So that's for a fact Captain John from the Rocks Pirates. So why is this significant? In 452 again, we see Captain John, we see a guy with the silver axe, and we see a Chinese guy or Chinese samurai with a long beard. To add to it, Captain John and these two other individuals that were with him, they were part of the armored zombies. These are zombies that Moria found, and they are people that made a name for themselves. So that's why they perform differently than the regular zombies, and that's why they had armors and such. They were pirates that while they were alive, they had a name. In this instance, it makes a lot of sense for the person that's next to Captain John, or the people that's next to Captain John, would actually be Wang Ji and Silver Axe. And to tie it even further, Wang Ji was a notorious pirate, and he was a salt trader. And we know salt was a huge part of Thriller Bark. A lot of it ties together here from Thriller Bark. So we have the Shiki stuff, Wang Ji, Silver Axe, Captain John. After 957, I assumed Wang Ji and Silver Axe would be prominent within the story because we didn't know exactly where they were. That's where they were, in Thriller Bark, because Moria, we know, was going around and taking strong corpses and having Hogback alter them to use them for his own means, because Moria wanted to become Pirate King, but not using his own crew, but using the means of other things. So it's weird, but regardless, these two people, more than likely, Wang Ji and Silver Axe. During Thriller Bark, Captain John had some moments where he spoke, but nothing significant where we can take away from it. But Wang Ji and Silver Axe, they didn't say anything of note. They didn't say anything at all, and they were destroyed by Oz after they were sent to stop Oz, after he was messing with the ship while Absalom was trying to get married to Nami. So they're done. They're destroyed from what we know, but it's cool. It's a cool callback, and again, tying everything in was really dope by Oda, and Oda just finds a way to just blow our minds every time. What I also wanted to talk about, though, was the fact that there's something else hidden here that was also pointed out on Twitter that I noticed. So I was like, oh, there may be some credence to it. What this thing is the actual insignia that's on Silver Axe's shield. Now, again, these people that went on to make a name for themselves were Wang Ji, Silver Axe, Shiki, and of course, Captain John. The person that referenced all these events was Sengoku, and Sengoku was speaking like if he was actually there when the Rocks Pirates went down. From what we know, Sengoku wasn't there. It was just Garp, maybe some other Marines. We don't know exactly who, but we know Garp had people with him. Prominent pirate was Roger, prominent Marine was Garp, so they get credit for it. On Silver Axe's shield, there's an insignia, and it looks like the Marine symbol with a sword going through it. Now, the reason why this is significant is because from the movie Film Z, we had the Neo-Pacifistas, right? PXZ, and they had an insignia as well. which looked like a sword going through the marine symbol. People are speculating that this is the official symbol or insignia of sword. And the fact that Silver Axe had this on his shield could actually signify that sword existed all the way back then. So Silver Axe may have been a secret member of sword. Not really sure about Wang Ji. There's nothing significant there to connect him to sword, but going forward, let's say this is the insignia of sword. It's not far-fetched that a pirate is a part of sword because, you know, Axe Drake, he's a former Marine, currently a pirate, but he's a member of sword. If this is the case, and Silver Axe was indeed a member of sword, sword obviously predates Aokiji, Smoker, and all these speculative members that were there, and sword could have been in existence back then to be a counterbalance to CP0. Again, feeding the Marines information, being planted on a Yonko or a supposedly a person chasing to be the world king, planting someone on that ship makes a lot of sense. And the fact that they were referenced by Sengoku means that they went on to be prominent or of note in some way, or Sengoku could have been working with some of these pirates, specifically Silver Axe. I think this is really significant because this speaks to the nature of the Marines and just how much turmoil they've gone through throughout the years in which they've had to establish a counter force to CP0 or CP or Cypher Pole in general, just because of how demented the world government has been, and they felt like they needed someone or something to counter that, to not only retrieve information about the important pirates in the world, but to have something to offset the evil that, or the underbelly of the Marines of the world government that is Cypher Pole. Again, a lot of speculation can be made from this, but I think it's a good cash, and I think it's pretty much solid. With Captain John next to him, Silver Axe, Wang Ji, definitely the two people Sengoku was talking about, but also Silver Axe could have been an undercover sword pirate or sword marine, whatever he is, and the fact that Sengoku referenced those two and those pirates or those people as well is a cool callback if they are, which more than likely I think they are, the people in Thriller Bark. If you want to tie the neo-pacifistas into everything, but those are from the movie, so they're not necessarily canon, I guess. I want to tie it back. Kuma was also in Thriller Bark, and Kuma had some interesting things to say in Thriller Bark. I had to make this video. Like, this was way too interesting not to talk about. I'm sure other people are going to make videos on this, but this was way too interesting not to talk about because it's an amazing callback. And I had to point out just how amazing the community is, where we are so invested in One Piece and we spend so much time rereading, discussing, just theorizing, that we stumble across things like this, gems like this. And from not only connecting Captain John to Silver Axe to Wang Ji, we could possibly have a secret member of sword. And I'm sure as we go through and reread, we're going to find more hints and instances of like possible sword members. It also raises the question as far as like, who was the initiator of sword? Who developed sword? Who brought sword into existence? Again, I said it predates all the speculative members that we were thinking of: Kobe, Sengoku, Aokiji, all those guys. But if it existed all the way back then, was Kong involved? Because at this point, Kong should have been the fleet admiral while Sengoku was the admiral. So is this something that was initiated by someone like Kong? Has this been going on for hundreds of years? What other Marines or pirates back then were a part of sword? Because we know, of course, Rox was right at the top. He was the person that was at the top of the pirate world. Did people filter through? Do we have someone currently on Big Mom's pirate crew that is a member of sword? What about Kaido? What about Shanks? I know people are speculating that Rockstar could be a member of sword, or could even be Rox himself. That's a joke. I don't believe that at all, but just think about it. But with this information and with this possible callback to, you know, the first instance of sword being Silver Axe, it opens your mind to all the possibilities of just how deep the world government is rooted into the pirates world. Also, for these members of sword, or these pirates that are members of sword being double agents, what's the benefit to them? Were they originally just good people at heart and they felt like this was a way they can make an impact on the world? Did something cause them to have a change of heart for them to go from being a pirate to being a Marine? All these questions and speculations, I'm just waiting for Oda to reveal this information, because the deeper we get into the story, the more information we're getting, and it's making the story even more interesting than it already is, which is honestly insane. But with this, it would be cool to figure out exactly like how all these other guys died, because Silver Axe, Captain John, and Wang Ji, they should be dead. Like if Oda went back and gave us a special as to how they died, and then also showing us a prequel with Moria going and finding their corpses and bringing them back to Hogback. I know, wishful thinking, but a man can dream, right? This is just amazing. I loved it. Again, follow Vulcan D Artist on Twitter. That's Vulcan_D_artist. I love the community, and this is just another instance of how the community is just really invested in One Piece. And guys, let me know what you think. Do you think this is an actual thing? Do you think those guys are actually the Silver Axe and Wang Ji from what Sengoku was referencing? If you Google Wang Ji as well, you can see like a picture of him. He's like a Chinese guy with a beard, or a long beard. So it wouldn't be far-fetched if this Wang Ji is the same person. Again, it's a lot there, and I hope I explained it well, where you could understand exactly why I think they're connected. But if you don't, you can go on Twitter. Vulcan posted it, and there's a lot of discussion under that post where people are connecting the different things. So go check it out. Like the video if you did. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Not the video I planned on making today or dropping today at all, but it was way too interesting not to at least bring it to you guys' attention, because as information or pertinent information comes out, I want to bring it to you guys as quickly as possible. So just fantastic stuff. Again, like the video, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.